First item is a special presentation, the Brave Fire Leader Certificate of Completion presentation. And Chief Bruton, will you come forward for that?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It is my honor this evening to be here with you, in front of you, to present certificates of completion to the group of individuals that's behind me. Several of them could not be here this evening for personal reasons, but I'd like to still recognize them as well. To give you a little history, during the Fire Department's update and council session 2021 in September, it was mentioned that the battalion chiefs, captains, and engineers completed a rigorous educational series entitled Brave Fire Leader. Honestly, the fire chief can't be anywhere all the time, everywhere all the time to make decisions that's going to benefit the entire city, the group that's represented, or what have you. So we have to have individuals, sharp, keen, good technical skills, not only to fight the physical fires, but to fight those fires that we call people fires, the fires that gets us in trouble, fires that you all hear about, the things that will, at some point in time, arise. So with that being said, an organization is much better prepared when officers and supervisors at every level are prepared to handle situations that will arise. The fire service is inherently does a great job teaching and training people to take charge and lead through emergency situations. Unfortunately, not as much emphasis is put into providing the tools and skills needed for leadership and management of daily operations. Company officers and supervisors have to exercise critical thinking skills and make quality decisions in regards to people, policy, and process. Brave Fire Leader program will increase knowledge and skills and the abilities for personnel to mitigate arising issues at their level prior to escalating them to a higher damage control scenario. This makes for better leaders, better supervisors for our department, not just for the fire scene, but also for the fire station, in public encounters, and when representing the organization, all while exercising good people skills. So with that being said, Mayor, Council, City Manager, friends and citizens, I'd like to present the following certificates. They are separated by shift. Again, all three shifts could not be here. The shift that's being represented tonight, A shift, is led by Battalion Chief Patrick Stone. Patrick Stone, he is exemplary when it comes to leading, but again, he has to have help. Not all firefighters went through this process, but the process that they went through, everyone will go through this coming term. And the reason for that is, as our leaders and managers in the fire service, they must know how to lead. The firefighters that are coming up must know what to expect in order to take the lead and to be guided. So, if you will, first of all, I'd like all my firefighters to stand up. Proud chief. Battalion Chief Patrick Stone. Engineer, Brent Harris. Captain, James Clerk. Captain, Robert Will. Also, in times of absence of our fire marshal, Captain Will Hoyt, we have to depend on people to stand up and step up. Captain Will Hoyt, when our fire marshal was out for a few days, not only did he stand up and take the lead, but he showed a different kind of leadership. And that leadership was just getting it done, doing it to a point where again, no issues, no problems, no worries, and we move forward. To all of you, the ones who received certificates this evening, I say thank you. To those of you who did not receive certificates, you will be going through this program. It will enlighten you, it will encourage you. Those who receive certificates will be your mentors. Those who are going through the program, you will learn a lot of different things. A shift, Patrick Stone, Hall Layton, Robert Wilhoit, Jake Furr, Brent Harrington. B shift, Battalion Chief Kenny Kendall, John Plowman, Darren Disler, Daniel Eisenhower, Drew Cauble, Drew Brewer. C shift, Brad Jenkins, Jason Barbie, Rob Milano, Justin Kimry, Everett Rummage, Alan Beasley, Mike Parker. And day shift, Michael Rourke. Special thank you to the League of Municipalities, Steve Matzak, Kelly Walsh, Dan Jones, the Brave Fire Leader Instructor Cadre, City Manager Ferris, HR Director Cheney, and our information systems for putting everything together. And again, this great team that I have with me, I'm so proud of. Mayor, Council, thank you.
Thank you so much for what you do for our city and your dedication to our community. We appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, approval of minutes. Consider approval of the minutes from the January 3rd, 2022 regular meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Aldridge, second by Councilmember Townsend. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have 2 public hearings. The first is Ordinance 2208 to consider the closure of Allendale Street with a right-of-way abandonment. This is a public hearing. Anyone who cares to speak for or against, please come forward.
I'm Robert Shaver. I'm the owner of the property on both sides of that right of way. I really would like the council to
Mr. Shaver, will you step a little closer to the microphone, please, sir? Thank you.
Yes. I really would like the council to consider. I have been living there for about 14 years now and taking care of it like it was my property. That's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak for or against?
Move that public hearing be closed.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hall to close the public hearing, second by Councilmember Aldridge. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Move approval of ordinance 2208.
Motion by Councilmember Hall to approve ordinance 2208, second by Councilmember Dry. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next is a public hearing, ordinance 2207 to rezone 1.84 acres at 2425 West Main Street. Again, this is a public hearing, and first staff is going to introduce.
Good evening. Sorry, y'all. I just got back into town, so bear with me a second here. So this is a request to rezone an approximately 1.84 acres located at 2425 West Main Street. The tax record number is 19977. The applicant is Terramore Development, and the owner is Jet Farms LLC. The existing zoning is R10 or general residential, and the request is for general highway business district. We have been told that the proposed use is for a retail establishment. We have not been told what retail establishment that is at this time. The property is currently vacant. The adjacent zoning to the north, south, east, and west is all R10, but there is general highway business close by. No services are currently provided for the parcel, but they are available nearby. The future land use map classifies this parcel and the immediate surrounding parcel as commercial, which is defined as areas generally located along major thoroughfares that contain a wide array of commercial uses. The property is not located in any regulated floodplain or watershed. On this map, you can see the property and the current surrounding properties that are zoned, but however, on the future land use map, again, that is designated for commercial use. Right here, we can see that that's a little commercial center with another commercial center up there. This is a street view of the property with a aerial view from GIS. On January 6th, the City of Albemarle Planning and Zoning Board heard the zoning map amendment request. In a unanimous vote, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of the request and finds the request to be consistent with the future land use map and plan. And the consistency statements are right here on your screens. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Y'all have a question for staff?
It was approved. I'm sorry, I can't see her. I can't see you like you can't
I know,
see
I'm
me.
tiny.
It was unanimous
Yes, it was unanimously recommended for approval
with the consistency statement.
with the consistency
Okay,
statement.
thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Ma'am, I think you said that this is going to be some sort of a retail establishment. Is there any other retail establishments on West Main Street in this sector?
Not for what we've been told. Again, we haven't been told the specific retailer, but we have been told that they would provide some groceries and household good items. But there isn't anything like that in that area from what we've been able to determine.
Further question?
And I think this specific section that you're talking about there at the corner of West Main and St. Martin, I think it's surrounded by residences, correct?
It is correct.
And behind, if I'm not mistaken, how close
Mobile
is
home.
the State Employees Credit Union? It's on the next,
Corner.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's, block away.
Further question? This is a public hearing. Anyone who cares to speak for or against, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Ben Hintze, Hintze. I'm an attorney from Greensboro. I represent Terramore Development, the applicant for this property. Staff did a great job explaining the project, the rezoning. The staff report is very well put together. In short, we feel this is an appropriate use of the land. It's an area that is designated commercial on the city's long-term land use plan. We see it as a logical extension of the commercial district that is on St. Martin, just further south there at the intersection of St. Martin and 24 there. It's where the Handy Mart is. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the area. There's a strip shopping center there along 24. There's a strip shopping center up around the corner onto St. Martin. There's the State Employees Credit Union across the street. The only thing separating this site from the existing commercial district is the Honeycutt Mobile Home Park there on St. Martin. And in fact, if you look at the, I don't want to touch their computer. If you look at the zoning map, part of that parcel is actually zoned General Highway Business District. It's a small sliver of that parcel that's zoned residential is the only residential buffer between this site and the existing business district. It's long been a vacant parcel of land. It's it has no economic use at the moment. This is an appropriate use. It will add to the city's tax base. It will provide valuable retail presence in that area. I'm happy to address any questions from anyone.
Council have any questions? Anyone else care to speak for or against?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Townsend to close the public hearing, second by Councilmember Hall. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Appears to me that we have two, or maybe not, and maybe if we need to do both of them or separate. It looks like to me we have a zoning map amendment and an ordinance.
So
So-
the ordinance should incorporate the zoning map amendments, and so you can approve the ordinance and then read the appropriate consistency or inconsistency statement into the record.
Right. So, but like, I guess my question was, do we do the ordinance and the zoning map amendment at the same time, or do you want them done separately?
It's all included in the.
Is it
it's
included?
It's included in the.
Okay. So, I'd move that we approve ordinance 2207 with the consistency statement.
Motion by Councilmember Hall to
Second.
approve 2207 with the consistency statement. Second by Councilmember Townsend. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
No. 2 against. Next on your agenda adjustments, we're going to pull a couple items from that. Which ones were they, Mr. Harrison? You're going to pull number 11, the spotlight presentation, and number 10.
That's correct. Both 10 and 11.
Council, I need a motion to. Next on your
Move
agenda
that-
adjustments,
move
we're going to
that,
pull a couple items.
Do you want them just
from
pulled
that.
completely or
Mr. Harrison. Pulled, and we'll reschedule on pull number 11,
Okay.
the spotlight presentation.
10 and 11?
Motion by Councilmember Hall to remove 10 and 11.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Aldridge. Further discussion?
Before you made the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Move back up to announced delegations. Number 6 is the audit presentation for the fiscal year ending 6/30/2021.
No.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jill Vane, and I'm from Martin Starnes and Associates, and I'll be presenting on the fiscal year 2021 audited financial statement. Some audit highlights. We issued an unmodified opinion, which is a clean and the best opinion that you can get. And we also want to thank Jake and his finance staff for being cooperative and always easy to work with, and there were no findings or question costs. This slide shows fund balance details in the general fund. There's restricted fund balance, which are your external restrictions from laws or grantors. Non-spendable, these are not in cash form, and these are the inventory and prepaid items amount. There are the assigned fund balance, which are internal restrictions, such as amounts appropriated in next year's budget and amounts that have been earmarked for specific expenditures. And the remaining are in your unassigned fund balance. And then total fund balance for your fiscal year 2021 was about $10.5 million. This slide shows the general fund fund balance over the past 3 years. From 2020 to 2021, fund balance increased approximately $1.9 million, or about 22%. In the past, units of governments have been grouped by the local government commission by population to evaluate various ratios and benchmarking. This year, the LGC has also grouped units by expenditures, which is a more comparative, effective comparison for some ratios. One of the ratios that the LGC looks at is the available fund balance divided by net expenditures. The LGC has a new threshold this year, and they have a minimum threshold for this ratio at 25% for units with general fund expenditures above $10 million. In 2021, the city's percentage was at 47.33%, which is above that threshold. Another ratio that the LGC looks at is calculating that fund balance available less the portion of fund balance restricted for POW bill divided by net expenditures. The LGC has a median, so this is the median for your similar units with similar size. and that is 46%, with the general fund expenditures above the $10 million. The city's percentage in 2021 was at 46.2%, so that means you're in the medium, around the medium of units with your similar size. This slide shows general fund summary of revenues and expenses for 2020 and 2021. And these includes your transfer ins, transfer out, and debt proceeds. Total revenues increased approximately 1.9 million or 11.2%. And then total expenditures increased 1.4 million or about 9.1%. This slide shows an overview of revenues in the general fund. The top three largest revenues in 2021 were your property taxes at about 41%, unrestricted intergovernmental revenues, 37%, sales and services, 10%, and then other revenues at 12%. And these percentages were similarly comparable to prior year. The expenditures in the general fund, the top three largest expenditures were in public safety at 51%, public works at 20%, culture and recreation at 12%, and then we have other expenditures at 17%, and those percentages were comparable to prior year as well. So this slide shows total of all your enterprise funds together, comparing amounts in 2020 to 2021. In 2021, the unrestricted net position, which is your working capital in the enterprise fund, was at approximately 25.6 million. Cash flow from operations is the net for cash received from customers, cash paid for goods and services, and cash paid to employees for services. Working capital in 6 million in 2021. The enterprise fund was at approximately changes in net position million, which is on a GAAP from basis, operations, and this is the net accrual basis for, and there was an increase of 8.7 million cash paid for goods and services, and cash paid to employees for services at 6.6 million in 2021. The enterprise fund was at approximately, and then changes in net another ratio that the LGC looks at on a GAAP ratio for the water and sewer and the electric fund that for there was cash increase from customer water and sewer, cash paid for goods and services, and cash paid to employees. So the quick ratio is a calculation that measures 0.6 million entities' ability to meet its short-term and then changes in net another ratio that the LGC looks at on a GAAP quick ratio for the water and sewer and the electric fund that for there was cash increase from water and sewer, cash paid 2021, the city's cash ratio on the water. So the quick ratio is a calculation that measures 0.6 million entities' ability to meet its short-term and then changes in another ratio that the LGC looks at on a quick ratio on the electric fund for the water and the electric fund for the cash ratio less than water and sewer. Cash paid 2021, the city's cash ratio on the water. So the quick ratio is a calculation that measures 0.6 million entities' ability to meet its short-term and then changes in another ratio that the LGC looks at on a quick ratio on the electric fund for the water and the electric fund for local government ratio less than water and data cash paid 2021 always submitted quick ratio LGC. So the quick ratio is a calculation that measures 0.6. It collects financial data based on an audit finance and then changes another ratio that the LGC looks at on a quick ratio on electric fund for the water and the electric fund for local government ratio less than water and data cash paid 2021 always submitted quick ratio LGC. The quick ratio is a calculation that measures 0.6. It collects financial data based on an audit finance and then changes another ratio that the LGC looks at on a quick ratio on electric fund for the water and the electric fund for local government ratio less than water and data cash paid 2021 always submitted quick ratio LGC. The quick ratio is a calculation that measures 0.6. It collects financial data based on an audit finance and then changes another ratio that the LGC looks at on a quick ratio on electric fund for the water and the electric Our local government wants to require data can be about we are raised in it collects financial data based on audit and then changes city officer ratio that becomes evaluate our local government wants to require data can be about we are raised in it collects financial data based on audit and then changes city officer ratio that becomes
Mayor, council members, Durham Lewis, CPA, the auditors for the ABC middle of that page is the paragraph noted opinion. Mayor, attention, in our opinion, Durham Lewis to above, fairly in all material respects, the audit, financial audit, second page of alcoholic beverage control, June 30, 20 years, June 30, middle of that page, position, paragraph, and we're out noted opinion, cash flow, in our opinion, Durham Lewis to above, fairly in all material respects, the audit, financial audit, second page of alcoholic beverage control, June 30, 20 years, June 30, middle of that page, paragraph, and we're out noted opinion, cash flow, in our opinion, Durham Lewis to above, fairly in all material respects, the audit, financial audit, second page of alcoholic beverage, 7 qualified, June 30, 20 years, June 30, middle of that page, balance, paragraph, and we're out noted opinion, cash flow, in our opinion, fairly in all material respects, the audit, financial audit, second page of alcoholic beverage, 7 qualified, cash flow, 20 years, 100, middle of that page, balance, paragraph, and we're out noted opinion, cash flow, in our opinion, fairly in all material respects, the audit, financial audit, second page of alcoholic beverage, 7 qualified, cash flow, 20 years, expenses, 100, middle of that page, balance, paragraph, and we're out noted opinion, cash flow, in our opinion, fairly in all material respects, the audit, financial audit, second page of alcoholic beverage, 7 qualified, cash flow, 20 years, expenses, 100, middle of that page, balance, paragraph, and we're out noted cash flow, our premium for that pay order, fairly the other items, coffee, where it went, and the cash position at the end of the year, which, as we said before, was increased by approximately $140,000. We can skip ahead to page 19. Page 19 has a schedule of the profit distributions that were made for the year, which again was $405,000, and the distributions from inception to date was $2,757,000. The next page shows law enforcement and alcoholic education expenditures, which are mandated by state statute. The board made distributions of $25,641 and $35,900 respectively for these two items. Taxes accrued and collected were paid in a timely manner. $12,740 was paid to the county for purposes of rehabilitation. Sales tax collected and paid during the year was $319,296. The working capital of the board was $953,000, which is below the maximum amount, but well above the minimum amount required by state statute. We can skip ahead to page 26. We have a schedule of store expenses, and you can see that the store maintained good, tight control over their operating expenses, with the only significant increases were in salaries and wages and obviously credit card fees, which would go up every year, credit card processing fees. Administrative expenses were fairly level from the prior year, as were warehousing expenses. Page 29 is a schedule of distributions paid and accrued for the year. As you can see, the board made a distribution to the city each month during the fiscal year. Page 30 is a summary of the budget. Original budget, revised budget, and actual operating figures for the year. The board operated within budget. They were not over budget on any items. Be happy to answer any questions the board would have.
Thank you for the report. First of all, on page 29 there for year 2021, for janitorial service, it has a blank, and then for 2020, it was $35.76.
I'm sorry, what page are you on, sir?
It'd be on slide 29. We're talking about schedule of store expenses.
I think in his book it'd be 27.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Janitorial supplies, those may have been combined with another figure.
Okay.
And I referenced the distribution date since inception. Does
Yes,
anybody remember what the year the inception date was for the city?
What,
It was 2003, wasn't it? It'd been late
What-
90s, I believe.
1998 sounds right.
Yeah, sounds right.
So about 25 years.
All right.
Yep.
Further question?
We appreciate you making such good money over there, Karen.
I'll entertain a motion that we accept the ABC audit.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Hall, second by Councilmember Dry. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, and thank you to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It's
Mr.
been a
Harris.
very busy year. Hopefully you
That's
have
right.
another one this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good leadership. Thank you.
Council, I'll also accept the motion to approve the city audit for the year 2021.
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Dry, second by Councilmember Aldridge. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, Sabrina Lambert to request an abandonment of Laurel Street and unopened right-of-way.
Good evening. My name is Sabrina Lambert of 1231 West Oakwood Avenue. I would like to formally request the abandonment of the unopened right-of-way of Laurel Street that adjoins my property and be split between myself and the adjacent property owner.
Have you talked to the adjacent property?
I
owners,
have.
and they're
I
all
spoke
in
with him
agreement?
today, and he couldn't make it, so I'm on behalf of both of us.
How many owners are they?
As far as his property, it's he and his wife, and then as far as my property, it's just myself.
Okay. So just 2 owners on each side.
Right.
And if I can clarify, if there's a question about notification, council, if they want to move forward with this, will set a public hearing, and then certified letters will be sent to each property owner adjoining the unopened right-of-way.
Okay.
And when is the appropriate time then to do that? The 21st of February? That's when we would
4
be.
weeks. Usually it's 4 weeks, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So,
Resolution 2203 is in your agenda.
It would set the public
It's a
hearing
public-
for February 21st.
I'd move, we set a public hearing and that city will make those, official notifications of those property owners.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Second. Thank you.
Motion by Ms. Hall to approve Resolution 2203, which sets the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hughes. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 9, Ginger Eford, candidate for Stanley County Clerk of Court.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council,
Get close to the mic for us.
for allowing me to
There you go.
speak with all of you tonight. You know, I'm used to being in front of a courtroom. It's funny being in front of just a few people, how your nervousness goes up a little bit. But at any rate, my name's Ginger Eford. I'm a candidate for Stanley County Clerk of Court. To tell you a little bit about me, I'm the baby of 3. Of course, my siblings would tell anybody she gets whatever she wants from her mom and daddy. But I went to Aquadale Elementary. I went on to South Stanley High School. I left South Stanley High School and I went on to Pfeiffer. I received a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. And from there, I went to the largest district attorney's office in the state. I went to Mecklenburg County. I spent 5 years there working with domestic violence victims solely. And I had the opportunity to come back home to Stanley County to serve the people here, where that I love, where I've been born and raised, under then Michael Parker. At that time, our district was 4 counties, not just one. It was Stanley, Anson, Richmond, and Union. And I came here to work specifically with child sex assault and abuse cases. At the same time that our Child Advocacy Center started, the Butterfly House. I continue to be involved with the Butterfly House to this day, and I will most likely do so until the good Lord says I can't anymore. So in 2006, the legislature decided that they were going to split our district again. And Union County became a standalone, and it became Stanley, Anson, and Richmond. And at that time, I got promoted, and I became the administrative assistant to the district attorney. I have maintained that role under 3 DAs. I think that says a lot about me. It says a lot about my work ethic and what I'm willing to give to the state of North Carolina and to the citizens, not only of this county, but to Mecklenburg County, to Union County, to Anson County, to Richmond County, and now to Montgomery County. For those of you who aren't familiar, in 2015, we became a standalone district to just Stanley, and then we gained Montgomery in 2019. I manage the district attorney's daily functions every day for both counties, regardless of where I may be located at. I work with the administrative office of the courts. I know those folks by first name. They know me. They've worked with me for 21 years. It's with those things that I believe it's given me the experience today to seek this opportunity, something I've wanted to do for a very long time. I'm married. I live in Indy, North Carolina, and I have 2 girls, a 17-year-old and an 8-year-old. The 8-year-old, I'm not sure if she keeps me young or makes me old, but we're going to go with she keeps me young. But at any rate, thank you very much for allowing me to take the time and the citizens of the city's time to introduce myself to all of you. I appreciate your time and listening to me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger.
Thanks, Ginger.
We have no unannounced delegations. Moving into administrative reports, number 12. Departmental monthly reports are in your agenda. Does anyone have a question?
Just a couple of comments. I still am asking, and I know that Cindy Blesser, I think, has asked when she has sent communication to department heads to put some dates in there, and I would continue to ask that when meetings are held and those kinds of things, I just would like to have some point of reference with some dates, number 1. Number 2, at some point, we are at half a year, and what brought my attention to this was the financial report, and whoever did it, Jake, that was a good thing. There was a little sidebar in there that says December is the 6th month, and I think I look at things at quarter of year and half year. I'd like to see where we are since we're over with the comp study and the implementation of the comp study. I'd like to see where we are at half year with that particular issue, because I think that I don't want to get us to March and we're further behind than we should be. So I'd like to know that. and HR, and I should have just, when I read through this, I should have done this ahead of time, and I just would throw it out there for some time in the future. We have talked about exit interviews, and I would like to know, looking at here, we had 40 voluntary terminations in 2021. So that's that. I know we're trying to stay at 10% turnover, and that's about 14.4%. I just would like for us to look back at the exit interviews that we've had and just hear some comments from those, because I think that was a point of discussion in the past. So thanks very much. Those are just my comments.
If I may add to Mayor Pro Tem's comment there, I think it would be very beneficial for us to also consider. I like the exit interview deals too, but I think that we might want to also consider not just even retiring teammates, folks from the city that just retired. They spend their whole entire career here. They spend multiple years here. I think it'd be very beneficial to hear their feedback too, moving forward, how we can advance and get better. So, good point.
Anyone who leaves the city is offered an exit interview.
Is it an actual sit-down interview or like Survey Monkey? What is it? How is it?
I know it's Survey Monkey, and those who don't have that ability or want to come in and talk, they're given that opportunity as well.
Yeah, I think if somebody gives the city, a nice long career, they should be offered and encouraged actually to do a sit-down versus the Survey Monkey. I think it's a little more personal to be able to have face-to-face contact and conversation.
Yeah, sometimes people want that option. Sometimes they want to do the Survey Monkey, but we do both. And I will say some of the we'll find out from Dana, but some of the total figures on the terminations, it could be a little bit high because of part-time summer help. They may fall into that figure. I'll clarify. So, for example, we hire a lot of lifeguards for the summer, and at the end of their time, it is a termination. It's a little bit different than a retirement or leaving to take another job. That could be on there.
And I'm just reading straight from here as to what they are. So that might be just a point of clarification that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
So if that figure seems high, that would be my first inclination of what that may be, but that's something we can clarify. Because that is different than if you're thinking of it as a termination, whether involuntary, going to take another job, retiring, that category, we know when they're hired that there's an end in that in their employment.
Further comments, questions? Move on to the consent agenda. Number 13, consider road closure for the mini Medley relay. Number 14, ordinance 2209 to establish a Sunday-only parking schedule and allow parking on one side of the portion of South Belle Avenue on Sunday. And number 15, ordinance 2210, amending the fiscal year 2022 operating budget.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Aldridge, second by Councilmember Townsend. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 16, under new business, consider approval of the MJSR 2201 Unity Walk Cluster Subdivision.
All right, good evening, Council. Tonight we have MJSR 22-01. Just to give you a brief introduction here, this is this large property. It's about 23 acres. You have Ridge Street that's bisecting right here. And then you have the now Unity Drive that comes from the Northeast Connector and comes up into this property. So the one that is being proposed for development is these two properties right here off of Ridge Street.
Before you go any further, just
Yeah.
for point of clarification,
Mhm.
show me where that church is being built.
The church is going to be roughly right here in between these two parcels,
Okay.
right there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We got the application and the fee. I'm just going to go right down to the plat here. So MJSR 22-01 is currently a 48-lot cluster subdivision that is proposed along Ridge Street and utilizes the Unity Drive, formerly Rebel Road, on open right-of-way. This development is comprised of lots that are on average 7,500 square feet in size, which can accommodate either a single-family home or a duplex by right of the zoning ordinance. The general design features a direct connection with the intersection of Lafayette Drive and Ridge Street, which will provide connectivity directly to the northeast connector. So that connection is made right here. Lafayette is about right here, and then Unity Drive comes in right across from it, and then it forms eventually into what was originally Rebel Road right in here and goes all the way to the northeast connector. The design would also introduce 2 additional city streets. One is Road A, which branches off of Unity Drive and provides a right-of-way connection to the adjacent property line for future development. And Road B also branches off of Unity Drive and terminates in a cul-de-sac here. As a cluster subdivision, the reduction in each and every lot determines the minimum amount of open space as well as 5% of the gross land area. The total open space provided on the plat is 8.64 acres of open space. Based on the gross land area and reduction in each lot proposed, 8.02 acres of open space is required by the ordinance. So 8.64 meets the requirement for the amount of open space. The active open space area that is required in cluster subdivisions is proposed to have a walking trail that ties into the sidewalks of the development. The trails are also provided with park benches in various locations. It's kind of faint on this plat here, but this trail is proposed right inside of this area. It's a faint line that goes right around this section here. It ties into the sidewalks here on Unity Drive and also down here on Road A. The developer proposes to extend city water, sewer, and electric service to serve the proposed site. Utilities are readily available to the site and will be verified to meet standard specifications through the civil design and approval process if this plat were to be approved by City Council. The road design in this development is shown as 26 foot wide from back of curb to back of curb with a 5 foot wide sidewalk on each side of the road. Staff received comments from NCDOT on January 3rd this year. A previous version of this plat was shown to have not only the connection of Unity Drive to Lafayette Drive, but another access onto Ridge Street, roughly where lots 44 through 45 are located right now. The formerly Rebel Road right-of-way at one point connected all the way through and lined up right about here on Ridge Street. If an access was proposed at that location, it would create a sight distance issue for people that were taking a left turn onto Ridge Street. It doesn't look like much here on the plat, but out there in person, it's a pretty
dip.
round curve. So the solution to that comment that we received was to either move that access further down Ridge Street to promote the sight distance and also the distance between this intersection, or to terminate this in a cul-de-sac. We see this as a reasonable solution. The property over here just beyond this cul-de-sac is developed with a single-family home, so we didn't see it fit to have an immediate connection over here. Also, as far as road design, the stub connection of Road A falls several feet short of the southern property line that is right about here. So they have the right-of-way platted all the way to the property line here, but they have the street shown right about here about this point. The main reason that they platted it this way, and I'm going to pull up this visual here, there's an environmentally sensitive area inside of this. It's crosshatched out right in here. In order to traverse that environmentally sensitive area, there would have to be a lot of mitigation done to do that. And since this is a stub out for future connectivity, if future development were to take place, it would be best to have this street backed up from that environmental impact so that a future development could tie in at grade, mitigate the environmental impact, put in a culvert, whatever the case may be, instead of having the street go all the way to the property line for right now.
So go back, if you will, to show us the whole map, because I want to see that
Show you the what?
in the whole map.
Sure.
I
So
think everybody needs to see that.
I'll zoom in on it just a little bit here. So they have the street and the sidewalks brought out to right about here, but we still have the right-of-way all the way through to the end of the property line. Just this section of the right-of-way here would not be developed until any future development were to take place, if it does take place on the adjacent properties in this direction. This stub out here is provided with a hammerhead, which does allow for fire apparatus turnaround, so it does meet the code there. The main point was to avoid that environmentally sensitive area and avoid mitigation of it just at this time. Are we good with that section of the redesign? Okay. Typical setbacks for duplexes in the R10 district are 30 feet in the front, 10 feet on the sides, 20 feet on a side with a street, and 30 feet in the rear. In cluster developments, the setbacks can be reduced by up to 50%. The developer has shown setbacks as 20 feet in the front, 5 feet on the sides, 15 on a side with a street, and 15 feet in the rear. Typical lot sizes for duplexes in R10 is 15,000 square feet. In cluster developments, lot sizes can be reduced by up to 50%. To accommodate a duplex, the smallest lot size can be 7,500 square feet. The developer has met this requirement. As a general comment, this proposed development was presented to the Planning and Zoning Board at the January 6th regular meeting, and the board unanimously recommend that City Council approve MJSR 22-01 Unity Walk with the following conditions. A revision of the open space adjacent to lots 2 through 13 to be provided with a specific neighborhood amenity. They have since revised the plat to show that neighborhood amenity inside this open space area. Provide a cross-section showing roads to be 26 foot wide with mountable curb and gutter with a sidewalk on each side of the road. Also a sidewalk to be shown along Ridge Street, exterior of the development. They have since revised the plat to show these improvements. Plat the right-of-way of Road B to connect to the southern property line and to show the street within 50 feet of that property line. They have revised the plat to show the street coming closer to that property line. It isn't quite 50 feet. As you can see here with that environmental area, it's basically just outside of impacting that. Realign the Unity Drive, formerly Rebel Road connection with Ridge Street to either terminate in a cul-de-sac or to be moved further down Ridge Street to promote sight distance and distance from intersections. They have since revised the plat to show that terminating in a cul-de-sac here. Add a setback note for corner lot side setbacks is 15 foot. They have since revised and shown the appropriate setbacks here in the site data table. Since the planning board meeting, the developer has revised the plat to conform to all the conditions. Since staff recommends approval of MJSR 22-01 with the following conditions. Just a few additional active use amenities, which per the ordinance can contain such things as playgrounds, picnic benches, courts, fields, gardens, and other amenities, shall be shown in designated active use open space area. They have plenty of open space provided, as well as the active open space area. The walking trail is in there. The ordinance does require just a little bit more as far as amenities and as far as what the trail consists of and what it is made of. Proposed stub out of Road A at the southern property boundary may include graded tie-in, but shall not be any further away than necessary for that. Tie-in shall be shown on the final plat. Basically, all that means is that Road A to be stubbed out the southern boundary as close as it can to avoid the environmental impact, and then the tie-in of at-grade connection would be shown during the civil design and final plat. I'd be more than happy to entertain any questions on this.
That you just read, was trying to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Was that on the next to the last page of your comments?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
Under general comments.
Mm-hmm.
And those were, planning board heard those as well. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when the planning board did 6-0, they heard the same, that 1, 2, 3, those 5 bullet points.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So they recommended for approval of the plat as long as those conditions were met.
Okay.
And you said there was a sidewalk on Ridge.
Yes, sir.
So is this not the final plat?
This is the preliminary plat.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So it's just not showing on.
They do have it's very faint because there's a lot of literature in there, but there is a sidewalk that goes right on the outside of these lots here, all the way down to the very bottom here.
Mr. Aldridge?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the presentation. Did I hear earlier? Did you say that the entrance to Ridge Street would that be right adjacent or right across from Lafayette Drive? Is that correct?
That's correct. It's going to be a 4-way intersection direct lineup.
Okay. Will there be a traffic light there, 4-way stop sign, or do you know?
So as of right now, it's not known. I don't believe so. I believe that the stop signs would actually be on the Lafayette side and the Unity Drive side with full movement through to keep Ridge Street running. I don't think there's been any conversation yet of any further requirements there, but as we go through civil design and NCDOT is fully involved in that process, they could make that
I mean, that is a 35-mile-an-hour zone through there, but anybody that rides that road knows that's tends to be a suggestion more than anything else. But that coming off Lafayette Drive, you got that dip there, and it's a pretty dangerous.
Yes, sir.
Pull out.
DOT has looked at that. They're okay with that street coming in there?
They actually preferred, based on what Mark Morgan said, they preferred the lineup for the four-way intersection. Their main and very adamant comment was not having an access where it was originally proposed there, just due to distance from intersections and sight distance.
And who preferred that? I'm sorry.
Well, actually, staff and DOT.
Okay.
So originally, the plat had two connections: one here at Lafayette and Unity, as you see it here now, and then also one right here. The intersections were very close. There was a conceptual design of that, but after getting comments from NCDOT, we went with this design here as being optimal.
Further questions?
Yeah, just a point of clarification, just because I can't read it. On the application, who actually signed that application?
Let me pan up to it real quick. Would that be you, or that would be Todd Hicks, a South Oak partner?
Further questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Well, we have public hearing.
This is not a public.
It's
This
not
is
a
not.
pub-
So moved to approve MJR 2201 with the consideration set forth by planning.
Motion by Councilmember Dry to approve Resolution 2201 with the recommendation of staff and planning.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hughes. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Number 17 is the introduction of Dr. Kim Scott as Director of Public Housing. Mr. Ferris?
Sure. I'll call Dr. Scott up, but as he's coming to the podium, just want to say, really excited to have him join our staff. He worked for us in the mid-90s in public housing and went on to the Charlotte Housing Authority and then had a long career in education. And I'm very excited to have him back with us, having worked with him in the past. I know he'll do a good job for us. And I think everyone on the leadership team is excited to have him as well. So he's here this evening to introduce himself and say a few words. So, Dr. Scott.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Mr. Mayor, City Council, I'm so glad to be back home. It's an amazing day. I had a very nice day today at the office. I do have to repay Gary Lewis because everywhere I've gone today, he has reminded me that he was there. I think this podium describes him being here. I sat in his chair and my feet were dangling off the floor. And then when I got in his vehicle, of course, the front seat was all the way in the back, so I had to pull up. So I will repay him when I see him tomorrow, definitely. But I am, again, elated to be here. I have a great love for Albemarle because Albemarle, when I graduated from college, they gave me my first professional opportunity in the tax collections office here. And it was an amazing experience. I went from there to the housing department and was able to do some great things today, during that time. Writing grants, and we got the air conditioning units put in, and the security things go over the windows, things of that nature. There were great things that we did. Walking through the community today, I was able to ride with the maintenance guys today and look at what they're doing. Walked through the community and ran into a young man that I met 22 years ago, and he said, you saved my life 22 years ago. And I'm like, dude, I can't even remember my name some days. So, but he said, yeah, you saved my life because I was in a bad situation 22 years ago, and you encouraged me to go to rehab. And he is still there in housing, doing well, and a contributing citizen there in the housing authority. So I'm elated again to be here, excited about my 6 siblings, being back home with them. And again, I look forward to working with you and making you proud. Thank you so much.
We're so happy to have you back. Thank you very much.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 18 is establishing the filing fees for the 2022 city elections. Currently, we have been using 10 for city council, 20 for mayor. It's up to council if you want to change that. I'll entertain a
Move
motion
it
either
remains
way.
the same.
Motion by Councilmember Hall that remain the same at 10 for Councilmember, 20 for mayor. Second by Councilmember Dry. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 19, consider approval of the rental rates for the pickleball courts at Rock Creek Park. Mr. Ferris? Ms. Kaiser is here.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Ferris. Hope everybody had a great weekend and stayed warm. If you haven't seen or been out to Rock Creek Park, please go out there. The pickleball courts are completed and they are being used, especially on nice, sunny, warm days. Not so much here in the last couple weeks. But anyway, in front of you and in your packet, I included a proposal for rental rates for the pickleball courts. And this is outside users wanting to do either a tournament or wanting to maybe have some lessons for the per court fee. So the half day would be $200 and it's for 10 courts. So that would be for the full facility. And then a full day would be $400 and then $5 per hour per court, minimum of 2 hours. And that's for city residents. For non-city residents, half day would be $250, full day would be $500, and then hourly per court would be $8, minimum of $2 per hour. I also included a spreadsheet in your packet where I did the research from other counties or municipalities. And so I went and kind of based it on, it was, of course, like all parks and recreation, we're all over the place. But I based it primarily on the town of Troy, and theirs is for 8 courts, and ours would be for 10 courts. So,
Thank you for doing your homework on it, and I move approval as presented.
Motion by Councilmember Hall to approve, second by Councilmember Townsend. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
It looks really good here.
Help.
Oh, I
Did-
forgot my mask anyway.
Did things go favorably tonight at the county commissioner meeting?
Yes, sir. Thanks for asking. We were approved for $6,500 for the amenities around that pickleball court, which will include windscreens, benches, bleachers, picnic tables, trash receptacles.
Yay.
Good deal.
Thank you.
All signage.
And that was part of the county's matching grant.
Yes, so we'll have a match on that.
Thank
so.
you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Coming around the table. Ms. Louder, I'm going to start with you.
I don't have anything tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Aldridge.
No.
Ms. Hughes.
Just a shout out to the linemen and the power people, because as Mr. Ferris knows, I'm the first to text. I don't have power, because everybody thinks it's me to report, I guess. But anyway, I do appreciate the linemen and those that provided us power.
Mr. Townsend.
I did owe the comments from Councilmember Hughes, thanking our city crews and staff, anybody that was involved in restoring the power. Also, at some point, I would like to get an update on the road construction project from Troy Road, leading, I guess, starting at Sweet Home, Church Road, coming back to the city limits, just to kind of see estimated completion or, progress status.
That's right.
It's been a while since we got an update.
I had that. I can't remember. It's like, it's going to be sometime toward the end of next year, I think.
Okay.
23. I jotted that down at RPO. God, exactly.
We'll ask our RPO representative to get that together.
All right. That's it.
Mr. Ferris.
I think Councilmember Aldridge had something.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, just before I wanted also, you threw me a curveball, Mayor, when you started over here. I normally have a couple people to go so I can get my thoughts together. You threw me a curveball there, but I just, like the other council people have said, thank you so much for the city staff. A real big shout out to Chief Bullhorse. I happened to go out, my wife sent me out for milk and bread the other day in the middle of a snowstorm, and as I was pulling in the food line, I saw our chief of police out there in uniform Sunday afternoon at about 2 or 2:30, helping a food line employee get her vehicle de-iced. And I thought to myself, that is absolutely the best example of servant leadership. The chief, the one that's, that's above everyone that's out there and doing, getting the lady helped out, was very remarkable. And I appreciate so much him doing that, being that type of leader. So want to make sure he got a shout out for that. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say that, make a comment about the audit tonight. Want to say that I'm particularly proud of the audit that was presented this evening. I think it shows good budget preparation, good budget oversight, good accounting, documentation, and good eyes on the expenditures throughout the year by the finance department. So I want to thank the members of the finance department, also the leadership team for their financial accountability and responsibilities throughout the year to make sure we have audits like that. I think for us, audits like that have become the norm, but you don't have to spend too much time looking through the newspapers to see that there are many entities, North Carolina, on the financially troubled units list, other audits with a lot of comments and findings. So I'm proud, and it's great that we do have audits like that each year, but it's not the norm. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that had a role in it. And I'm particularly proud of the city as a whole for having an audit like that and having finances in the condition that they are to do the number of projects that we're able to undertake. So, and that's all, Mayor.
That's all.
Echo comments about Saturday and Sunday and even yesterday, but I'd go a step further in saying not just the linemen. Some of you may have seen a Facebook post that said the linemen that we really need to be giving credit to are not the NFL linemen, but the linemen who do our work to keep our power on. And that was pretty apropos this past on Sunday. But the folks that answer the telephone, when lines go down, as I understand it, we have a phone number, but the phone number gets answered by the folks at the police department. And those folks, sometimes, people say, what do those folks down there do? Times like Sunday, and Sunday was not bad. We were ready for something really bad, but those folks do a heck of a job. The last thing, and I should have said something to Lisa while she was up here, but Lisa, can you come give us just a little report about how Friday went with the day of volunteering? Folks we're preaching to the choir right here. But there are people that are watching this, and as much as we don't think people watch it, people are watching it, or we'll watch it later. Can you give us just a little bit of take on that?
Yes, off the cuff.
That's right. Sorry, I should have.
That's okay.
No, but folks like to hear the good stuff.
We had 35 employees that volunteered for 7. I'm gonna say 7.
So.
Don't quote me on
That's
that.
okay.
7 organizations. So did projects. I know that the street division hung trusses for the Habitat for Humanity house. I know that Chris and the police chiefs and Dana picked up trash for Keep Stanley Beautiful. There were several employees that helped out at City Lake Park.
Mm-hmm.
We also had Stanley County Ministries and Esther House that were doing some painting. And then we also did some work downtown in the YMCA park. So
thank you very much.
And then we fed them lunch at the EEY Center, and they will get a T-shirt. It is delayed right now, like everything. So, but it was a great day, and always that's one of my favorite events to honor the service of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Thank you. Thank you for coordinating that, and thanks for the employees that took part. That's all, Mayor.
Mr. Whitley.
Just a couple things. Once again, the audits, having good audits like that is always comforting. It sounds like the city and the ABC board is in very good financial conditions. So thanks to city manager, finance director, and all the departments that are involved in that. That's a pretty big deal. Thanks to the fire personnel who got their awards tonight for that training, and the ones that will be going through it soon. I also wanted to mention the day of service. That was a good event. Dana and I cleaned up part of Ridge Street and part of MLK, and the chiefs cleaned up MLK. Police chief's tough. He came out there in a short sleeve uniform all day long, and I was freezing to death. So I tell you, and he had
Same thing on Sunday.
same thing on Sunday. He's out there in the sleet and stuff with short sleeve on. But thanks to everybody that volunteered for that, and thanks to everyone that volunteered for the storm or worked in the storm this weekend. And I hope you don't have to do it this next weekend, but it certainly is appreciated. And the last thing is, don't know if you've seen yet, but the COVID numbers are just going through the roof. Had over 1,000 new cases in one day. Over 900 new cases in one day. And the positivity rate, I think, is 38%, something like that now. So be careful. It's more prevalent now and more contagious than it's been before. It's less serious, but it's more contagious. So that's it.
Mr. Dry.
Chief, thank you for what you are doing in getting these young men their brave firefighter, fire leader certificates. I'm glad to see the rest of them are going through. I think that's outstanding. We got some great people that work for the city, and we can never say enough about the job that they do. Also, would like to thank Karen and the board of the ABC. They continuously do a fabulous job out there. I don't know that we could sell water like that, but by golly, it's for what they give us each month is substantial. I appreciate what they're doing, and hopefully this weekend we'll get away with anything less than maybe a little bit of rain and not what we went through this past weekend. As everybody said, that you just can't thank our employees, our staff, for what they do to keep us safe and keep us warm. Thank you very much.
I'll entertain a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A5 for real estate.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Aldridge.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hughes. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Open session.
Motion by Councilmember Hall to go back into regular session.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Aldridge. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. I'll entertain a motion, coming out of closed session, discussion of real estate, I'll entertain a motion from Mr. Whitley.
Make a motion to declare the property at 203 North 2nd Street, both lots, as excess, and to request an RFP for economic development of the property.
Have a motion by Councilmember Whitley to surplus 203 North 2nd property and to use an RFP process for a proposal to sell the property. Have a second. Second by Councilmember Dry. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Oh, I just realized it is. Jesse, come forward.
Oh, I would have said something. I didn't realize you were here, Jesse, when I made my comments.
Just realize this is your last meeting.
You'll get your city retirement certificate later, but.
Thank you very much for all you've done for the city. We appreciate it. And I know you look forward to some retirement, but we might find some areas for you to volunteer.
That's right.
He's like, first
I
let
think
me
Joy's got him a
retire and
list.
get bored.
I do have a list, so I can assure you my plate full before I left. I've had an opportunity to open up, and I was unexpected. So, when one door closes, another opens. So, you never pass up an opportunity in life to move forward. So,
That's right.
I'm looking at you. Talking about the mixtapes, because I've done this my entire adult life. I met Ronnie Michael back when I was young. So, I've enjoyed it, and thank y'all for everything that the city provided for me and my family.
Jesse's retirement reception is coming up on what day, Jesse?
28th.
The 28th. And I would encourage you to go down there to the police department and do it, because he has worked hard for the last year on trying to get a picture of all the retired officers. And they'll be in that room where he's doing the reception, correct?
Yep, it is.
So I encourage you to go down there and look at those
So it's at the
pictures.
police department?
At the police department.
At what time?
28.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jesse, very much.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn until Wednesday, January the 26th at 4 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dry, second by Councilmember Whitley. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.